The GOP candidates are taking turns blasting the president about a new health care rule. The rule requires all employers to cover birth controls for their workers, and it includes most Catholic organizations who oppose birth control. Now the Republican candidates are taking the controversy to the campaign trail.
Remarkably, under this president's administration, there is an assault on religion, an assault on the conviction and the religious beliefs of members of our society. Right now, the president's team has done some things which I find extraordinary.
Many of you may have noticed that the Obama administration has declared war on the Catholic Church and other religious institutions. I want you to know that on the very first day, I will sign an executive order repealing every anti-religious act of the Obama administration.
This is what happens when you give elites power. The whole idea of power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The more power you give to this government, the less freedom you have.
So how will this hotly debated issue impact the vote in November? Ambreen Ali joins us. She is from Roll Call. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Okay,
is there any sort of measurement or any idea how this is going to affect the Catholic vote and how big the Catholic vote is in this country?
Yeah, well, about 27% of the electorate is Catholic, and Catholics are big in a lot of the battleground states, including Florida, Nevada. A lot of the growth in the Catholic population has been Hispanic, actually, so Arizona, states like that. But it's not exactly clear that Catholics are going to be voting based on this particular issue. President Obama ran as a pro-choice candidate in 2008, but he won the Catholic vote. So I think the administration is doing a pretty good job of pitting this as a women's rights issue, as a women's kind of health care issue, and it's very possible that a lot of the Catholic voters will buy into that.
So it'll sort of galvanize and get people revved up in the women's movement, so to speak, the NOW, the NARAL, and organizations like that. So it's almost like a good fundraising issue.
Yeah, and we're already seeing that happening, actually, on the left. And today, a lot of the Democratic senators went on the Senate floor and talked about that very issue. They're pitting this as an assault on women's health. And I think it's really beneficial for the Obama administration because it allows them not to have to talk about the economy, which is not as much of a winning issue for the president.
All right, you've heard the Republican candidates, so they're coming out swinging. They're all, I haven't heard from Congressman Ron Paul, but the other three, Governor Romney, Senator Rick Santorum, Speaker Gingrich, they're hitting them right between the eyes on this one.
Yeah, and there is a potential for this to really blow up as a religious freedom issue on that on the conservative side. You see the National Association of Evangelicals has also gotten involved. They also believe that this is an assault on religion. And I think the candidates are really seizing that opportunity. It's as much about fighting against each other as it is about fighting President Obama. You know, Romney wants to show that he's strong on this issue so that some of those conservative voters who support Santorum or Gingrich become more comfortable with supporting him.
It'll be interesting to see how powerful the Catholic bishops are, because I know the Catholic bishops are very distressed by this, and be interesting to see to what extent they can hold the Catholics in the fold on this issue or not.
Yeah, and they're very powerful, actually. You know, they've got this letter-writing campaign going on. A lot of church-going Catholics went to church on Sunday, and they heard their priests read out letters about this issue. So they do have a lot of weight within the Catholic community. But really the question is that going to be the issue that voters vote on in November?
It also is interesting to look on Capitol Hill, the Democratic, the Catholics who are Democrats, and you know, as they struggle with many of these issues, even issues like pro-choice.
Yeah, although there are a lot of Catholic Democrats who would say that birth control is really okay, or it's up to the woman to decide whether she should have it. I mean, birth control is so common in this country, and people don't see it as contentious as abortion.
The Hispanic vote thought to be a Democratic vote. Hispanics, a huge population of Catholics. Which way are they going to go on this? Are they going to vote the way that we think they often vote Democratic, or are they going to vote with their religion?
You know, Hispanic Catholics are pretty socially conservative, especially on issues like abortion and birth control. But I think there's so many other factors that when it comes to the Hispanic vote. We're also talking about immigration. We're talking about jobs like we are with any other constituency. So it really remains to be seen.
Is there any state that's a real swing state where this is I mean, you went through in the beginning and named the states where there are huge Catholic populations, but I guess that we look at Wisconsin, with states like Missouri or Wisconsin has a high Catholic population, Pennsylvania, I mean, these are these are important states.
Yep, and even Illinois, which is kind of the president's home turf. There's a huge Catholic population there. But we're still months out from November, so I don't know if this issue is going to stick around long enough to play it into the general.
I guess we should back up. What is this? What is the provision?
You know, the provision requires that universities, hospitals, kind of nonprofits that are run by religious groups like the Catholic Church have to provide birth control, subsidized birth control in their employee health plans. Now, the church itself and churches are exempt from this requirement, but when you are running a university where you have a lot of employees who are not Catholic or not of whatever faith it is that's funding that institution, then the administration is basically saying you have to play by the same rules as any other private company which has to provide birth control.
So a school like Notre Dame or Trinity here in Washington, Catholic schools, they must comply with the rule in the Obama administration, but they're saying we're a Catholic institution, we don't want to do it.
Yeah, and actually there's a lot of states that already have this requirement, so there are many universities in the country who already abide by this rule, and the administration is really saying, hey, this is the middle ground. This is not an extremist stance on our part.
Thank you.